Hello there, my name is Travis and this is DevTips. You're watching video 5.2 in a series I call, I always forget what I call it. It's called Design and Code, my personal website in 12 hours. So this is 5.2. In the first hour we used Jade and Sass to build out this header here on the side of the design. Now we're going to return to that same design and make sure that this works across all devices, making it responsive. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, let's get into it. I want to make this header responsive, okay? As a sidebar header, we have to be really careful to take care of it, when it comes to time to look at this design on different smaller devices. So what I want to do is when the browser shrinks in, I want this header not to be a vertical strip, but a horizontal strip across the top with a disclosable navigation. This navigation won't fit in a bar across the top. Okay, so let's get started with that. How do we do that? First, I'm going to go into my home.sass. Okay, so this display wrap is keeping it display flex, which means that's what's giving us our columns. So we need to choose a width that would be appropriate to break at. Now I'm thinking about my columns here as I go back to my design. These columns are 300 pixels wide. They have 20 pixels in the middle, and then they're 300 pixels wide again. So this whole two columns is 620 wide. And then we have an additional 135. So the max width that our design needs to be to accommodate the design that we've set forth, and we'll probably put another 10 pixels on the side here. So that'll be 10, that'll be 10. That'll be 640 plus 135, which is 775. So we need to make something happen when the browser gets 775 wide, or smaller than 7.7 wide. So we'll go to home wrap and we'll say at media, we'll use a media query here, max width equals 775 pixels wide. Something is going to happen. Well, we want to take this display flex and say display block, and that will cancel out the columns. Let's save that and put this in inspection mode. Go put it on mobile mode, and then we'll shrink this up past 775. Here is 775. Okay, that kind of worked. We have the design, the header collapsed, which is good, but we still have like the, what's it called? The header positioner, whatever I called it, which is keeping everything fixed to the left. So we need to go into our header.sass, get that header position, and take care of that. So I'm just going to go to the bottom to all of this code of the header, because there's a lot of things I want to change. And I'll say at media, max width of 775 pixels. All right, what's going to happen below 775 pixels? Well, the first selector we need to take care of is home wrap header. And the home wrap header currently has a defined width of 135 pixels wide, but it needs to be completely as wide as it can be. So we'll reset that width to auto. There, now it goes across all the way across the top. See that white bar there? Good. We'll place some padding on the top and bottom, and then but not on the right and left. It was 30, now let's put it at 20. So now that we have that set, let's take care of this positioner. What was it called again? Header positioner? And instead of position fixed, it needs to be position relative. Was that the right name? Oh, not positioner, it's position. Okay, relative. Now the whole navigation can be inside of that instead of fixed to the viewport. We'll reset all of these dimensions, right? So top, 0, or is it auto? Yeah. Bottom, auto, left, auto. And we're still flexing everything, right? So everything is flexed in columns. So we want to change that flex direction and just change it into rows. So now the navigation is next to the logo, and that's what we want. Good, good, good. And then we can vertically align these things using our flexbox by saying align items center. And the other thing I want to do is really get rid of these things, right? Get rid of this navigation, get rid of that email link. So I'll go into here and say dot site nav and dot email link display none. Okay, now why do I have this? That's 3 T's, bottom auto. Okay, that's why. So the reason it was not positioned right is because the bottom was not being overridden and it was still 30 pixels from the bottom, but now being positioned as relative, it was just scooting it all up. Okay, so now it's positioned relative and all of the top, bottom, and lefts are reset. Everything is just kind of normal right here. But I think that this logo is a little big. So let's go to logo. Now remember that we set the height of the logo, and that constrained it at 80 pixels tall. So let's just kind of say something smaller, 60 pixels, maybe 45. Remember, this has got to look good on a phone. Let me show you what a phone looks like. Here's an iPhone 5, right? So if it's going to be 80 again, that's going to be too big on a phone. So let's go to 45. Look nice, I think. Okay, cool. Now I want to have over here a menu icon, kind of, but I don't have the icon ready, so we can just make it on our own. So we'll go into the header.jade and just add a new element right under that email link called mobile nav, and it's just the toggle, right? Once you click this element, you'll be able to check out the navigation for the mobile site. Let's think here. So let's go, now we have a save, we got that element. Okay, now let's go back into our header document and start thinking about how this mobile nav will look. So I'll say mobile nav toggle, is that what we called it? Mobile nav toggle. I want it to be like those 3 lines, right? So let's say the width will be 50 pixels and the height, we're going to focus on that center line too. First is 2 pixels, and the background should be 333. Okay. Width is 50. That doesn't look like 50, does it? Oh, because it's display flex, but the width of this menu or the header position needs to be, because I remember I sized the second. Okay, so width, remember I put the 135 on the position, the header dash position element, because I couldn't figure out why it was jumping out. So we need to overwrite that width to be auto as well. Okay, that's a little odd. So TN is in the middle, and that. Now the reason this is jumping out into the middle is because the width is not being constrained. So I'll go up into the normal logo, and I'll just say max width. So we want it to get smaller if it needs to. But we'll say that's that original dimensions of 135. Okay, cool. So now we have the, let me see here, logo is 135 and the mobile, yeah, it's 50 pixels. Okay, that's what I wanted. I want this line to be 50 pixels. Let's go, where is that? Okay, 50 pixels. And we'll say margin right. I want to move it away from the left or the right edge about 20 pixels. Looks good. Okay, now I want to have 3 lines here. I'm going to put some and. Oh, I just realized something. If I do a height of 2 pixels, the target's only going to be those 2 pixels. So let me. No. I want to be like a span in there or something like that. Okay. And I want it to be the whole size. So the width and height is going to be 50 pixels. And the background, we want to see it, so let's make it pink. Okay, so that's what we want, 50 by 50. Move it away from the side. So I was making the whole thing 2 pixels tall. That was the problem. And I need the target area for your finger to be bigger than 2 pixels, right? You'll never hit that with your fat finger. So let's put a span inside of this here. In that span will be display block. That span and span before and span after. Content. All right, so the content will allow the span to allow the before and afters to exist as visual elements in the DOM. And display block, height, and background were all set. Okay, so there should be like 6 pixels right here at the top. And I need to distribute these elements across. So let's go between, it needs to be in the center. We can just make this to display flex. Align items center. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, so align items center, display flex. Those are centered. So okay, now I have to move the lines away from each other. So I'll make them all position relative, and then span before you can get a top of 10 pixels. And span after, you can get a bottom of 10 pixels. Oh, I have a space here. Aha! So now we have those 3 lines, but they're uneven and weird. Why are you uneven and weird? I'm going to move it up 2 pixels to accommodate for its own dimension. Because it's 2 pixels tall, so it was like, it didn't look right. Does it still look right here? Let me turn this pink off. Where are you, pink? That looks pretty good. Is that good enough? Let's say 15 pixels, and that would make this 17 pixels, right? That looks better. That looks better. Where's that pink? That looks good. Okay, so somebody will click on that, and let's see our other navigation. Oh, so it's still here. So we need to turn this off. Mobile nav toggle needs to be by default display none. And then when we go into this, what's it called? Into the media query, Helm rep header, display block. Oh, I put it display flex. Okay, so just take this off, I guess. And then not display block down here, but display flex. Okay, so let's shrink this up and see if our mobile nav shows up. There it is. Bing! This is a good size, right? Good size for a mobile nav. And we need to put on our mobile nav toggle, we'll need a cursor, pointer. Let's do some cool animations, I think, when we're hovering over it. So this will be fun. When we're on hover, say and hover, I want this span to be background to be transparent, right? There we go. Okay, so what we wanted to see was, I wanted to see that little dude disappear. And we can take the other one, all right, now we're saying when we're targeting over the mobile nav target, take the before and after of the span and do something to them. And I want to transform them. So transform dash origin center and a transform rotate. Let's say 45 degrees. Save. Yep, that's what we wanted. So I want to form an X. So I have to go in there and say, oh yeah, it is rotated 45 degrees. That's cool, but also I need the top to be now 0. So before we use bottom here, let's use top and just say -17. Now, okay, now they're just right up next to each other, but I want to rotate this other one here, rotate it the other way around. Rotate it -45 degrees. Boom, look at that. What do you say we put some transition on it? So the transition all over 0.3 seconds and ease in out. That's cool. You guys like that? That's cool. I like it. If I did before here, it would kind of come from the other side. Okay, so that's a good navigation there. Now I have to make a navigation actually that will be a mobile nav, right? Because I remember I hid the other one, and the reason I hid it is because it was causing my header to grow, and I don't want my header to grow. I want a nav to kind of like either show up somewhere else, or I haven't really planned it. I'm kind of just working through it right now because you see that I designed for a kind of a desktop view, not a mobile view, so I'm kind of making this other stuff up as I go, which is fine, nothing wrong with that, but we just have to make ideas happen right now. So let's go into the header.jade, like above the header, right? Because I don't want it to be inside the header. I don't want it to be mobile nav. And then I'll say is open, because I want to change the state, and that will mobile, not mobile. Mobile. Oh, this is open class will change the state of its visibility, right? Because we want to start it being hidden, and then when somebody clicks on this navigation menu icon here, it will show you the mobile nav, right? So let's decide what the mobile nav is. Well, the mobile nav is basically just the same thing as this. So let's copy that, go above mobile nav, and create a mixin. The mixin is called nav content. Now, why did I do that? I did that so I could have one central place to change the content of the nav, and it's similar to like an import, right, or a partial. want to have one place to change, so like if later on I'm like, oh, I don't want a about here, and I change it here, it will show up here, and where did I take that from? So plus nav content. I hope that worked. Okay, so the nav content is still there, aren't you? Yeah. And then I want the nav content also to show up in the mobile nav. So let's save that. Let the page refresh, and then when we go to mobile, okay, the nav content is still there because I don't have it turned off by default. Okay, so the mobile nav is what it's called. So let's go into the header again. I have a mobile nav toggle. Here's going to be our mobile nav, and it's not inside the header, right? It is inside the home wrap. Maybe I'll just indent these things so that I can put the mobile nav inside of the header wrap. Okay, so I'm going to indent these all, and that's how you nest with Sass. Love it. If this was SCSS, I would have been futzing with these nested brackets for years because they get so cluttery. Okay, so in the home wrap, I have this thing called .mobileNav. Very similar to the desktop nav. It'll be like style list dash style none, margin 0, padding 0. Okay. And also I want it to be display none. Yeah. And then if we're on media, so if the mobile nav is available, I want to say mobile nav is open, then display block. And we should meet all those conditions right now. Oh no, so when it goes to mobile and our nav is open, do I have is open? Oh, I'm indented. Oh, see, it's wrong indentions. Okay, so I have to do the same thing that I did above there. Okay, now there we go. Okay, so got to get that specificity right, son. Now let's style how this navigation should look when it's visible. And we're going to do that right here. The LIs, which don't need to be indented, can be text align center. I like it. And then margin bottom 10 pixels. Very similar to what we had in the other one, but it's centered and a little bit different. So the mobile nav will be positioned absolute, and the width be 100%. Okay, and background white, and let's move that down from the top. Padding. Let's move it 30 pixels from the top. It doesn't matter right and left, and then just add 20 pixels on the bottom because we already have margin on the bottom of the UL or the LIs. So that looks good. Now, now you might be saying like, oh, it looks like it's just inside of the header, but it's not. It's not. And what that means is that we can get rid of it easier. Like in an animated way, and it won't kind of screw up. So if this was, by the way, if this was in the header, remember how we centered the logo and the navigation there? We did it with display flex. So these would be aligned items centered. The whole header would grow. We don't want that, even though it looks kind of like visually like, oh, the header just grew. That's fine if it looks like that, but the effect of having that logo and that navigation toggle still there and not moving, that's what we want. Oh, I just realized that hover is the wrong thing here. We don't want it to hover. We want it to be and a class of is open. Yeah. It was fine to do hover while we were kind of like developing it, so we can quickly see what it would look like. But oh, this is, well, we don't want this to be turned into an X on hover. No, no, no. We want it to turn into an X when everything is open, and it will just turn into an X. You click on it, and then it will turn back into the 3 lines, not on hover. So isOpen is a class that we'll put on it with JavaScript later on when the navigation actually gets open. Okay, so now we need to bring this mobile nav down and up, and kind of like, I just want it to like slide in from the top. So what we'll do is we'll go to the mobile nav at the top and say transform translate Y, capital Y, -100%. And that will just make it go up, right? Like it's kind of off the canvas right there. And then transition. Transition is the animation. We want it to say all over the course of 0.3 seconds, 0.3 seconds, and ease in out. Now that means we have to put the ending state in is open. So that would be transform translate Y 0%. See how it just scooted on down there, on down the path? That's what we want. So let's go into our header Jade, remove is open. I'm pretty happy with the design of it. I think that we need to work on the functionality of it later on. I don't need to worry about it right now. Probably when I do the click and it scrolls to, then I'll also do the click and it'll open it and stuff all at once. But right now, we're good. We did a navigation. We did a menu. What's this thing called? The header, which is on the side. And then when you scroll in past a certain specific dimensions for the design that we built, which is the 2 columns plus each other plus the margins plus the sidebar, and it will turn from a side header to a top header with a navigation here that cool animates into an X, and the navigation can come down from the top. That's all built and structured and styled. We need to make it function later on, but right now it's done. I really like the way that turned out. All right. So in the next part of this hour, we're going to make a grid for the rest of the design using Flexbox. So tune in for that. And now for the end of the video where I plug other things I'm doing and ask you to subscribe to the channel. But you're probably already subscribed, right? I can't imagine that you've gone 5 hours of watching these videos and not yet clicked that subscribe button. So I'm going to give that one to you. Here's some other things you can do. You can say what's up to me on Twitter using @DevTipShow Twitter handle. You can listen to the podcast that I co-host. It's called Late Nights with Trav and Los. It's very chill and awesome. It's like chill and awesome. Chlawsome. You can find this code repository on GitHub. You can find a patron and thank them. Patrons are special people who support the channel and get to take part in special bonuses. For example, extra videos and also the Dev Tips chat. Here's something nice a patron said recently about their membership. Pretty convincing, huh? If you want to learn more about Patreon and what we're doing over there, visit patreon.com/devtips. Good night, everyone, and keep on hacking.